Do you think
plants
then,
and animals.
was it reasonable to theorize that there's aliens amongst us?
When you say, well, two things. So I don't want to be evasive. But I also want to be very specific. When we say aliens, and then we also are we saying something from another planet, or are we simply saying non-human?
Non-human intelligence that looks like us, that moves around with us.
So is it possible? Well, we're doing it already with the panda bear. So, it's not that we do it all the time.
Seems like a strategy that'd be very simple.
Sure. And especially if you have the technology. Now, as far as...
The panda bear.
Yeah, there you go, right?
Carrying little baby pandas.
Exactly, right?
Boy, those are shitty panda bear outfits, too. They're fucking terrible looking.
They're pretty terrifying, aren't they, actually?
You put that in front of my dog, he's going to bark. If like a dude in a dog costume, he'd be like, that ain't a fucking dog.
Yeah, well...
How's a wild panda bear not know that dude's not a panda bear? That's crazy. See,
he's a panda terrorist.
That looks like a fucking alien. Like if it was really dark out and that guy grabbed you and zapped you with a tranquilizer, you'd have an alien story.
But yeah, my point is that we always use camouflage for obvious reasons. We do it in the military, right? I mean, camouflage, uniform, I stealth aircraft, for camouflage.
Sure, you do it when you go hunting.
Absolutely, I do. Absolutely. Yeah. So it's not a stretch of the imagination to suggest anything coming here that doesn't want to provoke us probably wants to blend in. Now,
of course.
Do I have any type of empirical evidence to suggest that they are living among us? I don't. What I can say definitively that whatever it is, it's here. And by the way, you already have very senior people in our government that have said it's here, whatever it is.
Right.
But these things could also be from under the water. These things could be something that is as natural to Earth as the little beasties were, right, when we first discovered them. Maybe they've been here all along. Right.
So the ocean is largely undiscovered. One of the things that people need to understand is that most of the exploration of the ocean is really essentially around the outside edges.
That's right.
It's around the shores.
Less than 10%. So,
which is nuts.
A buddy of mine
90% of the ocean.
That's right.
Like what?
We know more about the moon than the bottom of our own ocean. And so
that's so crazy.
Yeah. That's fact.
And these underwater crafts, like this enormous one that apparently was near this oil rig. How many of them have been? Has there been more than one of those videos?
So let me tell you what I can say from open source.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And then I'll tell you about a conversation I had without attribution because I don't want to get in trouble. Mm-hmm. Not everybody. A lot of people are familiar with the Air Force's program called the Fast Walker program, which is a program that was started by the Air Force, among other things, was to detect UFOs. That's a fact. Actually, that was part of their mission, to detect a lot of things, adversarial technology, but UFOs was one of them. It's called the Fast Walker program. There was some information that was released publicly about a similar program the Navy has. I can't talk about it because I don't have approval to talk about it, but obviously they're interested because they have equities underwater. They're interested in if there's anything underwater that can perform beyond anything we have. And I remember speaking to one individual who pulled me aside very privately, and he said, Lou, we were tracking this thing doing, and I won't say the exact speed, but hundreds and hundreds of knots underwater, and it was bigger than our own submarine. Right now, you know how big our submarines are, right? They're huge. Yeah. And I asked him naively, I just kind of came out, well, what do you do when you encounter that? And he just said, very honestly, he said, we go around. Just like that, we go around.
Have there been interactions with these things?
I we're not at liberty to discuss any details about that. Right. That's not for me to discuss. You and
I got to get drunk.
I'm a lightweight,
I got to get you drunk. Let's go have some whiskey. Find out what the fuck is up. So this thing is bigger than the sub, and they followed it for hundreds of miles.
Let me give you another a great event that occurred. And I'll talk about this because it's not classified. Okay. The portions that might be, I don't know about, so I should be fine. There's an individual who I'm aware of who was a helipilot, a helicopter pilot back in the late 90s in the Caribbean, and they were doing missile recovery. So what happened is that the Navy would test fire missiles, and then they kind of run out of fuel, they hit the water, and they sink. And at a predetermined time, they pop to the surface, we grab it with a helicopter, bring it back to shore, and we test it for telemetry and make sure that this cruise missile was doing what it was supposed to do. So they're out there in the helicopter, frogmen hanging down the line. You got the helipilot, you got the crew chief, and the co-pilot looking all down at the bubble. And as they're about to grab this cruise missile out of the ocean, something huge and round, and what was described to me as black as a devil, starts to rise to the surface. The water begins to churn, very much like David Fravor's description of the Tic Tac incident and the roiling water. The frogman is so freaked out, he's literally trying to climb the line back up. He's like total panic at the disco, right? And the helicopter's like, do we do like an emergency ascent? What the hell's going on here? And right as this thing is about, and by the way, it's the size of a small island and round. Right as this thing is about to break the surface, it sucks the missile down and disappears.
Jesus
and
Christ.
That was, yeah. And Dave Fravor could probably tell you that story a little better than I can. But when you compare that to other things, you got to say,
imagine being that guy hanging from that line.
No, no, thank you. We call that bait.
Yeah, but it didn't do anything to him.
No.
I would have loved that experience.
Yeah, so that was one of the anecdotes that was revealed to us by one of the
Who's
Navy
that
helicopter
SEAL?
pilots.
Who's that guy that was hanging from that?
The frogman?
Was he a SEAL?
I don't know. I only know the pilot.
Bro, come talk to me, please, sir.
I only know the pilot.
We'll put you in a fucking panda outfit. Yeah, we'll disguise your voice. Tell me what the fuck you saw. I want to hear that story. Oh my God, small island.
Yep,
Black as the devil in a small island and round.
Yeah, submarines look like this, right? They're not round.
Right.
So, yeah. So that was one of the anecdotes that was shared with us. Obviously Puerto Rico with the there's been some UAPs that have been recorded off there. Everybody knows about Aguadilla, the Aguadilla incident.
I don't know about it.
Oh, I'm sure you do. You
I
don't
do?
know
Tell me.
Wow.
Trust me.
So you can look it up online. There's a video taken by a DHS helicopter of a very interesting object. At first, it appears to be like perhaps a balloon, but then it does all sorts of weird stuff. And as you're tracking it, it enters the water without making a splash. You can track it underwater. Then it comes up and splits into two. And it's been analyzed over and over again by a lot of experts. It's called the Aguadilla incident.
Maybe I have seen this. Is it kind of blurry looking night
There we
vision?
go. That's it.
Oh, wow.
And so keep watching that, and I'll tell you a little story about this. This is a Customs and Border Protection released this.
How fast is this thing going?
So if you look here, they're looking at this through a form of night vision. I don't know the exact velocity. All that is available. But if you keep watching this, something interesting happens. So here it goes. You're going to see this thing enter the water here. There he goes, underwater, and then it pops back up and splits into two. They're tracking it. See, no waves, no wake. And then it surfaces and then does something pretty interesting here. So keep watching.
So it's going high speed through the water.
Underwater. That's underwater. Then it breaks the surface of the water again. Keep watching. Boom, underwater, over water, boom, underwater,